back to a twofer. This is a build and a review all in one. Stay tuned for that one. Welcome back to the McGolf Shop. Jim McCleary here, and this is the McGolf channel where we talk about golf club repairs, golf club reviews, and golf club fittings, all so your scores can go low. If you would, please like and subscribe and watch us on Mondays when we do a live stream. We talk about the same exact stuff. You're going to have a good time. More and more people are joining us. Be part of the new crew. Okay, so what is this? What are we talking about? We're talking about Callaway's Opus, right? If you want to go look and see what Opus means, you know, it's more towards the musical end of it, but it's called for creations. Now, Callaway has come out with, we'll call it 2 different Opus wedges with several grinds and then several coatings. So let's go through some of these while we're doing this. First is what they would call the brushed chrome wedge, and that's going to be their flagship or the model that most people are going to enjoy. And what it is, it's a nice wedge that has a brushed look about it. And if you wanted to get in a little closer, I've got some pictures that you should be seeing. So if we do like that, there we go. And it should look like this. And you see it's not very, they say brushed chrome, but it's very more brushed than it is chrome. And you can see some of the brush marks here. It's accented with a little bit of chrome in the middle. It's got more of a traditional wedge look upon it with a little bit of a higher toe and I think a little bit more of a curved sole from toe to heel. And they say it's more tour inspired, where the Jaws Raw, or the latest Jaws, were more flat and leading edge killed. Now this has a much smoother look, has a much smoother look in the bag, has a more, it looks like somebody designed it with a precision in mind, meaning that you have the Opus with the name badge here where you had all the holes for moving weight, which was kind of cool in the Jaws, but apparently they saw where they didn't need to do that too much. Now this is what they'll call the brushed chrome. What they also have is the shadow black, or the black shadow. Now the black shadow is just nothing more than a probably a PVD finish. And if you look and you can see that it's still black on the face, right? And for those that like the black wedge, I do like the fact that it changes the black color. This is more of a matte black where it was chrome, where the other one is the darker, we'll call it satiny finish. Okay, and then there's another one. There's 2 more here. Stay with me. This is the platinum wedge, the platinum wedge. Now the platinum wedge has some what they call MEM technology, and that's some metal injection molding. And what they've done here in this one, and if you can see in the bottom, you can see that there's a little bit of an added bit here, which is the tungsten. All right, they've added a little bit of a tungsten. It has it comes in 2 different grinds only, a standard grind and the Z grind, and we'll go over those here in a minute. The back of the platinum one has kind of a milling appeal to it. It is the same shape, but when combined with this little bit of tungsten that's in the top, it gives a bit of a different performance. Now the platinum will also come with a black coated dynamic gold mid wedge shaft, where the other ones will come stock with a chrome shaft. Now finally, and the reason for the build, is the raw finish. Dan, who is a longtime watcher on the live stream, loves raw wedges. And when he gets raw wedges, he particularly likes Project X shafts. And these dynamic gold S300 115s just do not get it for him. So we're going to put in some Project X 6.5s and then a 6.5 wedge shaft into that. And that's what we're going to talk about here. So what's different for the raw versus all the rest of them? It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a zero finish, or what I would call it. It's a raw finish. Now, starting off, this looks very, 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 very much like the brushed chrome. If you put them together, and I'm going to, if you put them together, this is what you would see. Okay, this is what you would see. It almost appears as if the raw, you see it's got a little bit of a, this is a little bit shinier, this is a little bit duller. But if you look at the finish and the way that they finished the grain of this metal, it almost looks identical. But if you put them up close to one another, that the raw is a little bit darker, as you can see, even with the lights bouncing off of it, the raw is a little darker where this one has that chrome finish. That will be the difference. Now, Dan likes it to rust. That's his call. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop these shafts off and we're going to put the Project X in them, and it's really cool because he has sent me the ferrules, he sent me the grip, and he's telling me everything is logo down, so there's not a lot of bouncing we got to do. This is just pop and move. All right, so the other part about this is the different grinds, okay, the different grinds. In the Platinum, there's only two. There is the S grind and the Z grind. Now, the Z grind of itself, let me put this one back. The Z grind is interesting in the fact that it has the leading edge is much more defined than in the other wedges. It's almost like it's a scallop when it's out there. And then when you talk about it right here, that it's more curved right here, okay? A little bit more scalloped here, a little bit more curved there. Now this comes in a tin. I'm sure there are others, but the S and the Z grind will be from 54 to 60 in this guy right here. Now the other ones, the Callaway has introduced a T grind. I don't have the T grind with me, but the T grind has a truckload of the back end. This one's very close, but it has a lot of it removed back here. That's for the person that is a very shallow divot taker, okay, very shallow divot taker, because it's a minimal sole but lots of relief. Also for that person that very well may want to open the club, okay, open the club. They also have the S grind, which everybody has. That's everybody's standard grind. Has minimal relief in the back, just maybe a hair into the heel. A W grind, now I really like this W grind because it's not excessive. But for those that would do a point, click, and chip that you can get through, really like that one. There's also a C grind, and that's what I'm showing you here. The C grind will be your low bounce model. You see a lot of toe relief and a little bit of heel relief, but there's a significant amount of sole that has been left around so that you can get down and you can get through it. All right, so that you have some of those. Now the stock shaft again will be the Dynamic Gold S, will be the Dynamic Gold 115 wedge. Now the mid, this is a surprisingly neat little shaft. I am a professed not a liking of a DG kind of guy. However, I've had a chance to hit them in other clubs, these new mids in the 100s and the 95s, or the 90s and 100s. Very, very nice. So I think that the wedge shaft will translate into that, and you would probably get a very, very nice feel from it. Okay, so I'm going to go start popping these guys off, and we'll show you the rest of them. However, I was able to take some wedges out onto the course, and let's talk about those first. Good morning. Here we are in Wilmington, Ohio, and I'm at the Crown Hill Golf Course, and they've graciously allowed me to test some clubs. So they let me off onto the back nine so I wouldn't be in the way. They have a very packed schedule. Today we are testing amongst other things, but today my focus is on the Opus Wedge. All right, Opus Wedge. I have two models. I have one with a graphite shaft, I have one with a steel shaft. One is a wide sole, and one is a standard sole, amongst all the others I got. So let's go do some testing, and then we'll talk about it in-house. All right, I found myself here right about the 100-yard mark. Now, normally a sand wedge for me, the way that I swing them, because they're not full swing clubs, are about 75 yards. So this is going to be a good measure. What I have right now is the Opus 56 12 degrees of bounce standard, and it comes with the Dynamic Gold Mid 115. That's going to be their standard in this particular realm. You're going to see that a lot. The 115 is going to be a good standard wedge shaft, right? Now, could you get others? I'm sure that you can, but this is what we have to test. So let's go hit this. All right, just short of the green, which is actually a pretty good shot. It looks like I may have gotten it into the middle. There's a change. And the ball got up nice and high. It stopped pretty quick in the middle of the wet. Feels pretty solid. Let's go try see what a chip shot looks like. All right, we're here on hole number 12. It was a short par 4, as you guys just saw, and I hit a hybrid and put myself in that 80, 75, 80 yard range. I'm in the second cut, which is a little thicker, so that'll just give me the idea of using this wide sole so you don't get stuck, right? The idea of it is to glide through the turf. Now, this grind, in my opinion, looks a little different than the wide soles in the past, meaning that, yes, the sole is wider than some of the other current offerings, but I don't believe it to be as wide as previous models. Now you'll see here, when you look at it, it has a bit of a curve. In past, they've been straight. So we have a bit of a curve. So it allows for a better turf interaction, so to speak. And in this particular instance, we're using the recoil wedge shaft. It's a 65 gram shaft. And we're going to see, I've not hit a recoil wedge shaft before. I've done plenty of recoils. I was a recoiled tour spec person for a long, long time. But we've never really gotten to the wedge shafts. 65 grams at first blush appears to be very light, and it is, it's a light shaft. However, when you get this in your hand, it does provide a lot of head weight. So don't think it's going to be this thing you're going to toss around and everything. It does feel like you can control it, and we have a 360 Tour Velvet on it. So let's see if we can get through the turf on this one. Go. Okay, I got through it all right. That was I gave up on a little bit because the hole plays notoriously short, and I'm right there on the edge. I do like that. We're going to give us another shot. I got it buried a little deeper in there now. We're going to see if it'll come up out of this thing. Bit of a pull, but it does. All right, so you get to see, it collects the grass. That's the whole idea of grooves. But it doesn't allow you to get caught up as much as say a thinner sole, or one that doesn't have a whole lot of, trailing edge on it, so they can get through it. So not all in all, it was a pretty good shot. And I let off on the club. I think I've already really given it its go. It had probably gone. So let's give that a +1. All right, we look to be about, I'm going to say we're about 15 foot off the green with a short-sided pin. And we're going to try this wide sole again. Typically, I would really be digging that standard grind so I can get through it, because as the turf gets thinner, wide soles, unless if you're a scooper, not good, or what they call it, a sweeper. However, we're going to try and get through this and see what happens.